Good evening. I'm Leanne Gerari. Welcome to another edition of Business PNG. Treasury Minister Don Pollier has just been elected as the chairman for the IMF World Bank Board of Governors. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill commended the Minister for Treasury, saying Pollier's appointment by the IMF and the World Bank is a vote of confidence in Papua New Guinea's standing in the global economy. Minister Pollier will officially take up his new role as chairman of the Board of Governors next month. However, this appointment also comes at a time very critical for Papua New Guinea, a period when the country is looking at tabling its next budget. In this episode, Business PNG talks to the Treasurer about last year's budget, what we have achieved so far, key sectors, PNG's borrowings, as well as the upcoming budget. Here's Madeline with Mr. Pollier.
Firstly, Mr. Pollier, congratulations on your appointment as the chairman of the Board of Governors for the IMF. How do you feel about this appointment, and how do you feel this will benefit the country?
Firstly, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the Prime Minister, Peter O'Neill, the Cabinet Ministers, and the Parliament, both sides of the Parliament, the government and the opposition, for supporting me, and especially Papua New Guinea, to this very prestigious chairmanship role of the Board of Governors of the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. But I'm humbled, I'm honored, not as a person, not as Don Pollier, being appointed to this very prestigious job, or to the chair of the Board of Governors of the IMF and the World Bank. But it's more Papua New Guinea being elevated to that position. Because that position is one of the highest at the world standard. It's a global position. Papua New Guinea will be recognized at the international area, and Papua New Guinea will be showing itself as a global leader, not only within the region, but also within the global perspective in economic development and progress.
Now to the Chinese loans. Are we able to see any kind of support in terms of concessional loans from the Chinese?
Well, Chinese loans to the Exim Bank is quite an interesting one. Yes, there are concessional loans provided by the Exim Bank of China, from direction from the government of the People's Republic of China. There's concession loans that are there, but also there are commercial loans. Papua New Guinea would be more interested to benefit from or to partner with the government of China and the Exim Bank of China in making use of the concessional loans that are available to Papua New Guinea. And we can do that through the normal process, our scoping of our works, our projects and programs, and then some presenting through the embassy, the Chinese embassy here, who can then engage in the discussion, commercial discussion with the bank and the Papua New Guinea government.
Would there be any conditions attached to these concessional loans?
Well, any loans that you get from any source, whether it be from a bank in China or from any other banks world over, there are always conditions. There are always conditions that one needs to meet, or both parties partners agree to facilitate the loans. And from the Chinese, the conditions, I think, is one of them is that if we're going to draw down a Chinese Exim Bank loan, the contractors, the builders, are appointed or nominated by Chinese authorities. And therefore, if we are going to implement programs using Chinese loans, then their contractors and builders, their people come and do them in Papua New Guinea. That's one of those conditions, I think, and there could be other policies they might have that are there. But then look, Madeline, I must tell you this. Papua New Guinea is not in a position to have its own people displaced by other countries because of other countries' policies. We're not here to have our people left out of job or to destroy our own construction industry because we have decided to act in a certain way. Our position, the government's position, is that any Chinese company that wishes to work under such loans in Papua New Guinea will have to go into partnership with Papua New Guinea existing local construction industry or business industry or whatever business that may be. We want to see partnership on equal footing with the Chinese investors or contractors here in Papua New Guinea.
The government has plans in funneling finances into various sectors such as education, health, and infrastructure. Now, in terms of financing, where to get that from? The central bank has said that the economy has enough liquidity within itself to finance domestic borrowing. However, the government is seeking offshore financing. Which do you think is the best decision?
See, the government budgeted a deliberate 2.5 billion kina deficit in this year's budget, and that's going to be financed, like you allude to, within PNG or from a source of financing abroad. You remember we had two strategies. First was to raise financing to fund the 2.5 billion kina deficit in a budget through treasury bills and inscribed stocks within Papua New Guinea, and we do it through the Bank of Papua New Guinea, like you've said. Second was that we strategized to go on a roadshow to issue sovereign bond into the international financial capital markets. But what we have done is we have aborted the second because we felt that as soon as the government decided to go into the market out there in the international financial market was not conducive and attractive for us to go in, meaning that the interest rates would be very high and there was a lot of risks involved given the circumstances in the international financial market. So what we decided to do was to look within PNG and raise the financing that we need to finance the projects like free education and other educational programs, the health sector program, the law and order, infrastructure development, the other very important programs of government. We had to finance within our local market, and we have done that quite confidently. The liquidity is there, like you have alluded to, the bank indicating that. And in this year, 2013, I'm confident that by the end of this year, we will have raised enough money to cover for the 2.5 billion kina deficit in the budget to finance all those very important key programs of government. So we're doing that. But also at the same time putting a financing strategy, a financing plan together for 2014 and into the medium term. And that might involve these two strategies as well as other areas that we can raise funds, mobilize to meet the requirements of the people.
Coming up next.
Madeline, I'd like to tell you this. I'm happy, I'm satisfied that the implementation of the budget for 2013, as per our programs, the O'Neill Dion government has managed it well.
That and more when we come back. Welcome back. Minister Pollier has provided some reassuring comments about the state of the Papua New Guinea economy. This comes after an upward revision of the GDP growth rate, a rise in employment, as well as growth in the non-mineral sectors. Minister Pollier has also stated that PNG is still on track despite a slight increase in public outstanding debt. We continue our talks with Treasurer Pollier.
You've just recently delivered the 2013 mid-year economic reports. Do you think that the budget for 2013, was a successful one?
It's a very important question, and it's, I think, one that brings into perspective how Papua New Guinea as an economy has performed over the last 6 or 7 months under the leadership of the O'Neill Dion government. Within the frameworks of the Fiscal Responsibilities Act, the government is required by law to tell the people of this nation how the government has performed in terms of delivering economic development. Have we achieved anything? How has been our GDP, gross domestic product? How has our economy in its size grown? Was there recession? Was there any progress? But also the inflation. The day-to-day living of our people is very important. As the cost of living risen so high that our people can not be able to afford living. And what's our employment like? What are the areas it's growing? So this is very important to the people, and the government has got a mandate to report that. So what I have done is, as per the law, by the end of July, by the 31st of July, I'm supposed to report to Papua New Guinea on these very important indicators, and I've done that on the 2nd of August this year. And Madeline, I'd like to tell you this. I'm happy, I'm satisfied that the implementation of the budget for 2013, as per our programs, the O'Neill Dion government has managed it well. We've implemented our programs, meaning that we've put the money to where they're supposed to go. Many times in the past, you've seen governments spending money not in those enablers, the key areas. And you look through the Vision 2050, those key areas are there.
What would you say we have achieved?
We've achieved a lot.
And what we haven't achieved?
Very good. What we have achieved is that we have seen a GDP growth, an economic growth rate revised upward from the 2012 projection for this year at a 4%. It is now revised up to 6.1% GDP growth. That means the size of the economy has expanded by that size. You'll realize that in 2012, when we did the budget, we projected the inflation to grow at 8%. That was not good. But now it's revised downward. The inflation has been revised down to about 5.9%. So it's a good thing. So it's a positive indication there. Our employment rate is also growing at a higher rate compared to others in the region. So we've seen our young people being employed in the industries. We've also seen our foreign reserve in PNG has also been built up to unprecedented levels. And the growth in other sectors, non-mining sector, has also been very, very positive.
Can you comment on the housing situation?
The housing situation has been one challenging aspect of the whole economic perspective in PNG. And I've said it before. It needs to be looked at in a more vehement, more aggressive manner by government. And we established the report through the ICCC and the National Housing Commission. And the government are putting together strategies as to how we can ease the cost of living as in terms of the housing rentals and the cost of housing is concerned in Papua New Guinea. And I've also made comments before in an interview with MTV on this subject that people who are also putting the housing in the market, they've got to be responsible, that they've got to provide the service at the affordable, the real market prices. So, and I've seen there's some prices coming down in the housing sector recently. In fact, there's a price decline or the cost of living is declining in terms of the bills that people are paying for the service. So we're seeing a overall improvement in the country's economy, and the challenge now is to maintain that into the next 6 months and beyond, to the next 4 or 5 years in the term of this, the most medium term, and then in the long term.
Now, the total public debt outstanding is projected to increase at the end of 2013, which is higher than the original budget. The legislated limit is 35%. We're projected to end this year at 32.7%. What are your comments regarding this?
Well, my comment is that it's not a big problem. It's not a big problem.
It's not a big problem?
No. You just said that the legislated debt is at 35% of the GDP.
You don't find that
and
too
now
close?
you just at 32.7%. It's within range.
Okay.
Let me tell you this. We projected a fiscal deficit of 7.2% for this year. And that's about 32% of the overall GDP. We're on track. The only increase has been a 0.5% increase in debt, and that is equivalent to, in monetary terms, 151 million kina. Cost of that blowout in the deficit, the 151 million kina, has been due to a 78 million kina personal emoluments at the provincial government levels. Personal emoluments in that the people have been employed who are supposed to be not employed beyond the positions that are in the provincial level, or you've got many people paid on the same positions, or various other very irregular things that may have caused that public service, the personal emoluments in the provincial level. The second is the downturn in the commodity prices that has seen us a similar amount, 72.5 million or so, that is due to lost revenue from export of our commodities because of the price downturn. So the total is 151 million. But that has been offset by dividends that have been coming from some of these state bodies like the MVIL, National Fisheries Authority, National Forest Authority, the ports PNG, into the consolidated revenue, and that also adds up to 150 to 200 million kina. So it's had a balancing effect. So Madeline, is not a big concern to government because we're on track despite those two factors. The personal emolument is one that we are fixing through Public Service Minister and the governors of the province and the administrators. The price downturn is something beyond Papua New Guinea's control, but we have mitigated because we've got enough fiscal space to address that, and we're on track.
Are we anticipating another deficit budget? We'll find out when we come back. Stay with us. If you've just joined us, you're watching Business PNG. The 2014 national budget will be a prudent and consolidated one. This was Treasurer Pollier's statement as he delivered the 2013 mid-year fiscal outlook report last month. The question is whether the 2014 budget will be a deficit as well. Minister Pollier shares with us some of his expectations of the upcoming budget.
Now, are we anticipating a deficit budget in 2014 as we have seen in 2013?
Yes, we will be seeing a deficit budget. I like to keep the deficit below 7% that we've seen. In this year, I like to keep it down to 5.8% in 2014. As part of the budget strategy for 2014, 2015, 16, 17, 18. It's going to be also always a multi-year budgeting for Papua New Guinea. So we'll see deficit there, and that will be very minimal. It's within our manageable level. Responsible, manageable levels of deficit is good at these times to stimulate economic growth. Because you see, if you do not have a deficit for budget for 2014, what you will see is a huge slump in your employment, a huge decline in the economic growth. You'll be a huge downturn. All the other positive statistics that come out, indicators that have come out of our management of the economy in the past 7 months or so. What you need to do is you've got to continue to sustain that growth, but in a very responsible, prudent manner. And that's what we're going to do.
How is the asylum seekers deal to be featured in the 2014 budget?
Well, asylum seekers deal is not a PNG government deal.
Okay.
It's an Australian government, but PNG is partnering with the Australian government in that Australian government, in their own partnership of the deal, they meet the cost of establishing a asylum seekers processing center in Manus Island. What Papua New Guinea was doing is providing the land and giving the support by putting all the procedures, organizing our landowners, our provincial government in Manus Island, and all the other necessaries that the government needs to do to facilitating the establishment of this permanent processing center in Manus Island. So I do not envisage any budgetary allocation except for the ordinary budget allocation that we provide for the foreign affairs and the immigrations to do work that they're supposed to be doing. If there's any increase in the budget allocation, it would be for policing our PNG borders through immigrations and customs, defense force, the police, all the other authorities that do such work, but nothing specific that the government is going to put a lot of money for asylum seekers, which is a perception of the public. In fact, the Australian government has decided to invest 1 billion kina. 1 billion kina in PNG economy as a result of that program.
Would that be from the Rudd government or from the current
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, Madeline. The government of Australia is the government, whatever government that is there, the Papua New Guinean government and the people of Papua New Guinea respect. We do not recognize individuals and establish our partnerships with individuals of those governments. We work with the individuals who are prime ministers, who are ministers in cabinet and so forth, but we recognize the government and the people of Australia through the government as a country and work with them. So whether it's a Kevin Rudd government or whether it's a Tony Abbott government, it doesn't matter. Governments have agreed to this partnership, and we're going to keep our part of the bargain.
2013 is the year of implementation. Several governors have found it a little bit difficult, Gary Juffa, Kelly Naru, in implementing the budget. And they've done so because of inefficiencies in the provincial government. How do you plan on rectifying those issues with the inefficiencies?
Yeah, the governors, I take note of that. The governors will have some valid points there. It's not only a constraint at the provincial level, but also the national level. In fact, to be honest, the government has implemented most of the programs up to 50%, up to June, July, when we released the immediate economic and fiscal outcome report. That's how much we have assessed to have implemented, especially in the development budget. The Minister of National Planning, Mr. Salsebo, has done a good job there with his team, and other ministers and the departments are working. But the constraints of the implementation mechanism, the public service, the administrations at the provincial and district levels continue to need modernizing. We've got to now modernize the public service. We've got to improve the capability and capacity of the execution of government programs. And what needs to be done immediately is a matter of urgency for government is in 2014 budget. We have got to address the modernization of Papua New Guinea's public service. Not just that, We'd also look at how do we align the three governments in implementing the programs. The three governments or three government system that we have, the national government, the provincial level government, and the district or the local level government. These are the three tiers of government in PNG. Now, if those governments are not in harmony with the mutual cooperation to implement government projects, then you will see some impediments coming out of it. So there needs to be alignment in thinking of implementing government policy through the echelon of government systems or political systems that we have. And that's a need that we need to address in the budget also. And as well as with the modernization of the public service. And what you're saying, the question with regards to the issues raised by the governors is a valid point they've raised. And the government has taken note of that. The government has also taken note of the constraints, the lack of capacity, and the setbacks that are there in the public service system overall. And in 2014, we will be addressing that. And that is very important to us. And the Prime Minister has made a call that we must implement programs. And I think we have done well, to 50% to half of the year. And the remaining, I think we will do well. But I think I should caution all department heads and everyone that we should not rush to destroying money into the system or into those programs because we're running out of time or because the end of the day is coming near. The wise thing to do is all back on those funds. We should not spend them, but let's probably spend them properly in next year. So any remaining funds that have not been spent will be rolled over to the 2014 budget, and we'll implement them so that the works continue to progress next year. So we will be carefully doing that to make sure our implementation is progressing well with a modernized public service in PNG.
Minister, thank you very much once again, and congratulations on your posting.
Well, thank you very much, Marilyn, and thank you very much, MTV, for the opportunity given me to do this interview. Thank you so much.
And that's all we have lined up for you tonight. If you have any comments or suggestions regarding tonight's show, do send us an email on businesspng@mtv.com.pg. Feel free to watch any of our episodes online, and don't forget to like our Facebook page, and also please do follow us on Twitter. That's been Business PNG. Until the same time next week, have a pleasant evening.